First, fast, accurate with Jennifer Copeland and Todd Connor. You're watching WSBT 22 News at 5.
And we are following breaking news right now at 5. The St. Joseph County Dispatch Center has ramped up its investigation into that deadly retention pond crash in Mishawaka that killed 2 children. It found 4 so-called shortcomings made by the center's dispatchers. Plus, breaking news in South Bend, a 19-year-old woman was shot inside an apartment there.
That's right. The other major story is what you see on your screen. A winter weather advisory now in effect for our entire area. Meteorologist Abby Wepler has been tracking this system for us all week long. How much snow are you thinking we're going to get?
Well, we're actually going to get 2 rounds. Everybody will see some system snow. Some of us will add some lake effect snow. I'm going to show you right now, Plymouth, the snow has already started falling from our storm alert weather camera provided by St. Joseph Health Systems. It's not causing problems on the roads yet. So pretty much Marshall County and south, we're starting to see the snow adding up. But our northern communities, although we're seeing the snow on the radar, it's not quite making it to the ground yet. But with each passing hour, that chance of snow is going to go up. We're going to zoom in a bit. Look at the radar, even trying to mix in some rain right now. And that's because temperatures are kind of all hovering around the freezing point. So you might have a light mix at times, but the majority of the evening, do expect you will be seeing snow adding up on the roads. Let's show you Futurecast, of course. We're making our way through the evening. Here's 9 o'clock, for example. You can see the snow continues to fall. So if you're heading out now, won't be back for a few hours. Just expect conditions to worsen on the roads, and it's going to take you a little bit of extra time. We will continue to track it for you tomorrow morning, for example. Tune in with Carrie. This is 5 a.m. The system will be exiting by that point, and the lake effect will start to pick up then as the day goes on. So here's that lake effect I'm talking about. This is tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, and then it tapers off early on Friday. So first things first, this is the system. 2 to 4 inches for the entire area. Heaviest amount south where the snow's already starting to fall, mainly south of US 6, so the southern half of our area. Lighter amounts, for example, in southwest lower Michigan. But then we reverse it with the lake effect snow that starts Thursday afternoon, ends Friday morning. Within this pink area where those bands set up, 3 to 4 inches of snow expected, 2 to 3 a little bit farther south, LaPorte, St. Joe County, and then 1 to 2 additional inches for our southern communities. So we kind of have a 1-2 punch, and then behind this, we have Arctic air to talk about. Sub-zero wind chills as we kick off the weekend. Much more on that part of the forecast in minutes.
All right, we will see you then. Now to breaking news that we've been following in South Bend. Metro homicide is on the scene after a woman was shot and killed.
They have been at the Corby Homes apartments all afternoon long. WSBT 22's DJ Manu is live for us. And DJ, do we know who the victim is?
Now, police have yet to identify who the victim is, but we do know she was 19 years old. It was in this apartment here, this first one right here, where she was found with gunshot wounds. Her grandmother says she has a 3-month-old baby, but the baby was with another family member at this time. Throughout the day, family and friends have been gathering here at the apartment complex in shock and despair. We aren't sure when the shooting took place, but it was family members who found her here. Neighbors tell me no one heard anything leading up to this, but looking at their backyard to see another homicide scene has them uneasy.
It's scary, you know, you don't know who's next or what's gonna happen next, you know. But I've never met her, and I feel really bad, and I apologize, you know, for the losses and the heartbreak.
Police say they do not have a suspect at this time, and the coroner says her autopsy is scheduled for this Friday in Fort Wayne. Live in South Bend, DJ Manu, WSBT 22 News.
And we're following more breaking news in South Bend. You're taking a live look on the city's southwest side where Metro Homicide is investigating another shooting. This is near DuBail and Grant Streets. Police say the call came in around 3:15 this afternoon. Right now, police have a person of interest in custody. Paramedics took a male victim to the hospital, but right now there's no word on his condition. We are also following breaking news in Mishawaka. An investigation shows some so-called shortcomings into how the 911 center responded to a deadly accident on New Year's Eve.
A van with a mother and her 3 children went into a retention pond on University Drive, killing 2 of those children. WSBT 22's Dane Murray is looking over those findings. She joins us from the live desk right now. Dane, this investigation found several problems.
It said while many things were done correctly by the 911 center, at least 4 issues did occur. It started with the initial call from the mother. The 911 call taker communicating with the mother, Brooke Levin, should have immediately instructed her with what to do as her van was going underwater. Instead, the investigation says time was lost trying to figure out the location of the accident. That call taker also muted the call for about 2 minutes. The call taker realized the error. However, the investigation says that does not excuse failure to unmute the line more quickly. The investigation also says a second call taker who was communicating with a bystander missed an opportunity to quickly identify the location on his computer screen. It says his screen had an unrelated window open, which obstructed the view of the map. Now, the second call taker then miscoded the incident as an accident and not as a vehicle in the water. Because a water rescue was not coded, that delayed the dispatch of the dive team. Lastly, during the final moments of the call, the investigation says the call taker could have provided comforting words to the mother. Now, the investigation says it is pure speculation to say there would have been a different outcome if these issues did not happen. 4-year-old James and 2-year-old Natalie Clevin died. Their infant sibling and mother survived. At the live desk, Dane Murray, WSBT 22 News.
All right, fetal remains found at the home of a late abortion doctor now have a final resting place. The Indiana Attorney General hopes burying all 2,400 remains will provide some closure to the families impacted.
The remains were discovered last fall when Dr. Ulrich Klopfer's family was going through his estate. WSBT 22's Brooke O'Daniel is live at South Lawn Cemetery in South Bend, and Brooke, more than 200 people were there.
There were, and you can still see all of the flowers and even a teddy bear that people left at today's burial service. There were a lot of emotions today at the service as people prayed, spoke, and sang songs during the service. Attorney General Curtis Hill says they would have buried remains in each of the 3 cities that Klopfer had abortion clinics, but that it was impossible to tell where each of the remains came from. He says it seemed most fitting to bury them all together. Hill said even though the remains have been buried, the investigation is far from over.
These records, there are tens of thousands of records that we have secured, and we will be going through for quite some time moving forward. So that process is not nearly completed.
While officials continue the investigation, many people at today's burial told me that this will help bring them closure. Tonight at 6, hear from a woman that had an abortion decades ago, and she said the discovery of the remains brought back a lot of painful memories. Live in South Bend, Brooke O'Daniel, WSBT 22 News.
This victory here is the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
Hello, America. I'm Amy Klobuchar, and I will beat Donald Trump.
I think the key is, first of all, to demonstrate that we are the campaign that can defeat Donald Trump.
Our campaign is built for the long haul.
It ain't over, man. We're just getting started.
It is the same message from each of the Democratic candidates: beat President Trump. And the results are in, and Senator Bernie Sanders is coming out the winner in New Hampshire's primary. But he only narrowly defeated Pete Buttigieg. Coming in a surprise 3rd place was Senator Amy Klobuchar, who beats both Senator Elizabeth Warren and Joe Biden. But despite winning the popular vote in both New Hampshire and Iowa, Sanders is behind in the overall delegate race by 2. Buttigieg remains the top delegate holder. Businessman Andrew Yang, Senator Michael Bennet, and former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick have all suspended their campaigns. And Jennifer, the next challenge for the candidates will be in Nevada.
That's right, and that's just over a week away. We're talking February 22nd. Sinclair's Atra Elnashar is in Washington with how the candidates are battling to win the moderate Democratic vote.
The Democratic presidential race, now down to 8 candidates, is illustrating a divide between what Democrats think it will take to beat President Donald Trump in the general election. Bernie Sanders and Pete Buttigieg came out on top, walking away with 9 delegates each. Voters in New Hampshire gave a boost to Amy Klobuchar, coming in 3rd, while dealing a blow to Joe Biden in 5th place. With 44% of the vote between Buttigieg and Klobuchar, voters seem to be grappling with who they want to bring a more moderate voice to the party.
One theory, the moderate establishment theory, is We need to win back people in places like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, those Midwestern voters.
New Hampshire voters sent a clear message. They'd rather have Buttigieg or Klobuchar be that moderate voice, not Biden.
His campaign is on life support, but in theory, South Carolina could revive it a little bit. Plus, with early voting, he's probably already racking up votes in a lot of Super Tuesday states.
With a campaign branded on restoring the country to the days of Barack Obama, his message could backfire.
There is also the failure of some Democrats to realize that some individuals actually left the Democratic Party and voted for Donald Trump because they were displeased with that presidency.
For progressives, at least in New Hampshire, Sanders is their choice over Elizabeth Warren, who finished fourth with 9% of the vote. But Sanders' history of presidential runs may too get in his way.
What we're really talking about there is that some of Bernie Sanders' vote in 2016 was very likely an anti-Hillary vote. If anything, his coalition has shrunk substantially since 2016.
President Donald Trump also won big last night with 85% of the vote against Bill Weld. He tweeted that he had the widest margin of victory of an incumbent president in a New Hampshire primary and that he thinks he can win that state come November. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
You know, this year is not just an election year, it is also the 100th anniversary of women celebrating the right to vote. The Marshall County Historical Museum has an exhibit to celebrate that anniversary, and it shows the struggles women went through to get that right to vote in the state and in Marshall County. There's also a ballot box on exhibit that's actually from the 1900s.
Living in this day and age, we think a lot about our rights as it was just here as we were born, but there were a lot of people throughout the ages that really worked and struggled to make sure that we have that right to vote, and we should use that right.
This exhibit will be up for a year. You can head to our website, WSBT.com, for the museum's hours.
Area business leaders say it's one of the most critical issues in the community. We're talking about the South Bend school referendum. Those business leaders say a strong school system helps attract people to the area, but the odds of actually passing a referendum aren't great. South Bend is far from the only district in our area that has tried to pass a referendum, or bond as it's called in Michigan. Niles has failed and succeeded in those efforts. Superintendent Dan Applegate says getting the message out is crucial.
It's a lot of walking out and talking to people, going to seniors' homes, having community forums, and saying, hey, here's what happens, here's what you need. You really need to understand it one-on-one or in small groups to explain it to people.
Tonight on WSBT 22 News at 6, Operation Education takes a look at how other school districts sold voters on a referendum.
You know, less than 2 months into office, and Elkhart Mayor Rod Robertson has some changes in mind.
Creating new positions and raising the pay of some city employees. Coming up later at 5:30, we'll have more on how the mayor plans to accomplish this.
Plus, coming up right after the break.
St. Mary's College just introduced its new president. Hear what that means for the school coming up on WSBT 22 News.
21, that was our low. We made it to the 30s again today. No measurable snow currently at the airport, but that's going to change as the evening goes on. How much we're expecting and how it could impact your Thursday. Your forecast is in 10 minutes.